Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need for your project is your line sketchbook. And you're going to go to page 4. That says line embossing. So here I'm going to ask that you sketch out 6 different ideas of how you would like your project to look. Okay, so I provided a couple examples at the top for you of what the finished product will look like. And then here's where you're going to draw your examples. So you're going to use pencil, and you have to use at least 4 different types of lines in each drawing. When I say different types of lines, I'm going to show you by the examples that I already did. So here you see a broken line, then you see a wavy line, okay, zigzag, that type of thing. So here, zigzag, broken, swirl, wavy. So that's at least 4. If you were to just do something like this and say, well, I have at least 4 lines, yes, you do. However, these are both diagonal, these are both diagonal, and these are both vertical, so technically that's only 2 types of lines. Also, it's not very visually interesting, okay? The variety of lines that you have is going to make it more interesting. You do have to complete all 6 in order to get all of the points down here on your sketchbook page. Once you have completed this, you are going to gather your piece of cardboard and you're going to choose your favorite design. So for this demonstration, I'm going to use this example right here, okay? And I'm going to take my piece of cardboard and I'm going to copy the design onto the cardboard, okay? So I've already started, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish. Okay, so there's my finished design. So then you can put your sketchbook away, and the only thing you will need is your cardboard right now, okay? So your design is done, and then you will need to gather your glue bottle, your scissors, and your yarn, okay? Now what you're going to do is you're going to start with 1. I like to start in the center just because that way you can work your way out. And you're going to put a thick line of glue down there, okay? Now notice how thick I am. Don't be thin because then your yarn's not going to stick as well. Okay, and you're going to trace your line with glue. Then you're going to lay a piece of yarn on that line. What I'm going to do to make it a little bit easier is I'm actually just going to cut a long string so that I'm able to set it on there a little bit easier. Okay, so I'm going to take my yarn and I'm just going to start at one end, and yes, you might get glue on you, that's okay, and you're just going to carefully place it on your line. Okay, and every so often I'm just patting it down just to make sure that it stays in place and it's exactly where I want it. If you have a bunch of extra glue, it really doesn't matter because 1, it's going to dry clear, and 2, we're going to cover it up anyway, so you're not even going to see it, so it doesn't matter. Okay, now once you are done, then you can just cut off the extra and you're done with that line. You're going to repeat that for every single line that you have on this paper, okay? One thing that I recommend is when you're doing, if you have zigzag lines, for example, okay, I recommend doing them in individual pieces. Why? Because when you're using yarn, it's easy to make a bendy line. It's really hard to make a point. You can't really do it. So for that purpose, I would do this, and I'm just going to show you a little bit. Okay, so see, I'm starting there. If it were me, this is exactly how I would do it. I would lay a piece, then cut it, then lay another piece and cut it. Will it take a while? Yeah, it will take you longer. Will it look better in the end? Yes, it will look better in. That way you get that actual point instead of the bend that is created from the yarn. Okay? Once you have completed all of your lines, one thing you can think about when you're done is the line width, okay? Because right now they're all really thin and they are all the same. To make them a little bit different, what you could do is you could go back and thicken the width of that line. How would you do that? Well, what you would do is you would add another layer of glue. And then you would go back and add another layer of yarn. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to add another layer. And this might be even messier because you might have to kind of push them together, okay? You're going to get a little messy. It's okay. Okay, and that's just going to give you a thicker line. It really looks nice when you do 3 or 4 layers, okay? Because then you're really going to notice it at the end of the project. You won't really notice too as much, but when this doesn't take very long, it's a kind of an added bonus for the end of your project. Okay, so it would be just like that. All right, so those are the steps that you need to complete this week. You just need to get your drawings done in your sketchbook. Then you need to draw your design on your piece of cardboard. Then you need to glue and add yarn to all of your lines. And then I recommend at least making one line a different line width, just to make it more interesting. All right.